Gemini, a secret is hidden in your work. It will catch your attention. Gemini, let's pause for a moment, not to slow down, but to tune in. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That curious tension in the air at work. A subtle shift. Something is whispering behind the curtain of routine. It's not anxiety, it's your intuition sharpening. Your inner twin stirring, noticing patterns others miss. Conversations that falter when you approach. Meetings that don't make sense. A vibe change you can't yet define. But here's the truth. Something significant is moving in the background. And it's tied directly to your destiny. In today's message, I'm not here to repeat surface-level career advice. I'm here to gently but clearly illuminate the invisible thread that's pulling you toward a revelation in your professional path. A truth you weren't meant to find through logic alone, but through the quiet nudges of your soul. This is a message not just for your mind, but for your spirit, for the part of you that craves purpose, alignment, and the thrill of discovery. And if you're still with me, it means you're ready to see what others are overlooking. So take a breath with me, Gemini. Let your mind relax, but keep your awareness sharp. There's a message hidden in your daily life right now, and I'm here to help you decode it. If this resonates with you already, feel free to gently support the space by liking, sharing, or subscribing. It helps keep these spiritual insights flowing and ensures you never miss a sign. Gate 1. The unseen forces at work. What your workplace isn't telling you. Gemini, your work life is not just a collection of tasks and deadlines. It is a living, breathing ecosystem of energies, intentions, and silent negotiations. And right now, something is shifting in that space. You may not see it written in an email. You may not hear it in a direct conversation, but you felt it. There's a door creaking open, quietly, discreetly, just enough for light to leak through. And that light? It's meant for you. Let's talk about the first face of the secret. Someone in your work environment is watching you, not in a harmful way, but with intention. This person knows your capabilities more deeply than you might realize. They've been paying attention. They've noticed the way you stay late without being asked, the ideas you bring to meetings that no one else dares to say aloud, the calm way you diffuse tension between coworkers. You might be thinking, but I've never gotten credit for that. And that's exactly what makes this revelation so powerful. The recognition that's coming isn't based on what you've demanded. It's based on what you've consistently offered. Think of Erin, a Gemini client I once guided. She worked quietly in a nonprofit, often overlooked in meetings dominated by louder personalities. But her director had been quietly keeping notes on her initiative, her ability to mentor new hires, and the sense of peace she brought into chaotic project phases. One afternoon, seemingly out of nowhere, Erin was invited into a leadership meeting she had never even heard of. That meeting? It led to a role that doubled her income and finally aligned with her natural leadership skills. She told me later, "I thought I was invisible. Turns out I was being quietly chosen." Gemini, your story may mirror Erin's. Let's talk about the second face of the secret. Structural change is brewing. It could be a reorganization, a leadership shift, or a redirection in your department's focus. You might not have the full picture yet, but your intuition does. Have you noticed it? An odd reassigning of responsibilities? A project halted without explanation? Colleagues whispering in pairs, acting strangely formal around you? This is not paranoia. This is your sign. And if you're feeling uneasy, it's okay. Gemini energy is brilliant at adaptation, but it thrives most when it understands the dynamics at play. What's making you uncomfortable isn't change. It's the lack of transparency. You long for clarity not because you fear the unknown, but because you know how to prepare and pivot better than anyone when the truth is on the table. Here's where I need you to lean in gently. Watch how leadership interacts with you in the next 7 to 10 days. Are you suddenly being copied on emails you weren't before? Is your manager seeking your opinion more often, even in small ways? These aren't random. These are test balloons, subtle ways to gauge your readiness. Now, let's look at the third face of the secret. A hidden opportunity is forming, one that most people around you haven't even noticed exists. You might think, what opportunity? I'm just doing my job. But the universe doesn't wait for a job posting to align destiny. Sometimes, you are the first to sense the gap that needs filling, the system that could be improved, the problem no one else is solving. That instinct is the seed of opportunity, and you, Gemini, have already felt it. Let me share about Carlos, another Gemini I once coached. He worked in corporate sales, and during one slow quarter, he noticed their CRM system was causing bottlenecks. Quietly, on his own time, he designed a cleaner system just to make his own job easier. No one asked. No one noticed until 3 months later when he showed it to his team lead. Within weeks, he was promoted and asked to lead an interdepartmental optimization project. What had started as a quiet instinct became a career-defining leap. Gemini, this is the kind of quantum shift that's opening in your reality. But to step through that door, you need to do 2 things. Trust your perceptions. You're ruled by Mercury. Your mind is lightning quick, your awareness heightened. That off feeling? It's not you being dramatic. It's divine intelligence whispering, look again. Start small, strategic conversations. Instead of confronting your boss with, is something going on? Lean into your natural charm. Ask curious, open-ended questions. I've been noticing some changes in workflow. Anything new being planned for the next quarter? I'd love to support any transition projects coming up. Anything I can prepare for? Geminis are gifted conversationalists. Use that gift now. Your genuine interest can draw out insights that were never meant to be hidden from you, but simply waiting for the right time to be revealed. You may also be wondering, what if the secret that's hidden isn't in my favor? A fair question. But here's the higher truth. Even if the initial shift feels uncomfortable, it is ultimately redirection, not rejection. The universe doesn't close doors to punish. It closes them to guide. And if something is being dismantled in your professional world right now, trust that it's only to make space for something far more aligned with who you are becoming. Remember this, Gemini. Awareness is your advantage. While others operate on autopilot, you are tuned in, sensitive, awake. You notice the way energies shift in a room. You hear the unsaid. You sense what's not quite right before others do. And that gift, that's not a burden. It's your compass. In the coming week, I encourage you to write down 3 subtle changes you notice in your workplace. Keep track of conversations, glances, unexpected invitations, and even your own inner voice. Why? Because when the revelation comes, and it will, you'll look back and realize you were never in the dark. You were simply being prepared to see the light more clearly than anyone else. Gate 2. Letting go of the old chapter. When the universe closes a door, Gemini, I want you to pause and ask yourself, quietly, honestly, what part of your work life feels like it's no longer alive? Not just tiring, not just hard, but truly expired, like an old season refusing to let go. Sometimes, the greatest secrets the universe holds for us aren't about what's coming, but about what must be released. You've sensed it, haven't you? That subtle disconnection between who you are becoming and what you're still doing each day. The feeling that you've outgrown your current role, or that the enthusiasm you once brought to your daily routine has turned into a quiet numbness. And yet, despite the signs, we often cling. We tell ourselves we should be grateful, that change is risky, that it's just a phase. But Gemini, deep in your soul, you know better. You've always been attuned to cycles, transitions, and the power of reinvention. And this moment in your professional life is no different. One of the hardest truths we face is that sometimes growth doesn't look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like release. It looks like stepping away from a role we once loved, admitting that a dream we fought for no longer reflects our current self, or accepting that a team, a leader, or an industry is no longer aligned with our energy. This can feel like failure, especially for a mind as active and visionary as yours. But it's not. It's sacred evolution. I remember working with Jenna, a Gemini entrepreneur who built a wellness brand from scratch. For years, it was her passion and purpose. But slowly, the joy drained away. She kept going out of obligation to her staff, her audience, her past self. When she finally allowed herself to admit she was done, it broke her heart. But only then did she have space to write her first book, which became a national bestseller. Her ending was the hidden beginning. And she told me, "I didn't lose my purpose. I finally gave it room to evolve." Gemini, this is the energy circling you now. There may be a chapter in your career that's winding down, not as punishment, but as preparation. It might be a project that's losing momentum, a promotion that no longer excites you, or even a subtle shift in your team dynamics that makes it harder to stay emotionally invested. These aren't signs of weakness. These are echoes of your own inner compass realigning. The winds are shifting, and they're asking you to stop resisting the pull of something new. But here's where it gets tender. Letting go doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes, we walk away with trembling hands, unsure of what's next. That's where courage steps in, not as a loud roar, but as a quiet willingness to trust. Gemini, your mind is wired for movement. You are not meant to stay stagnant. And yet, when it comes to releasing something familiar, even you can hesitate, calculating every possible outcome before taking the leap. But what if the only calculation you need right now is this? How much of your current situation truly reflects your inner light? And how much is simply a mask you've worn for too long? Think about the way the world has shifted in just the past year. Layoffs, restructures, team dissolutions. So many professionals have been forced to redefine success, not by external titles, but by internal peace. If you've recently experienced an unexpected end, a job lost, a contract not renewed, an opportunity that slipped away, I want to offer you this perspective. Endings are often the universe's most direct way of sparing you from long-term misalignment. What looks like rejection in the moment is often a redirection towards something profoundly more authentic. There's a reason the energy feels heavier lately when you sit at your desk or join that team call. Your spirit knows the frequency no longer fits. And Gemini, the beauty of your dual nature is that you were born to dance between chapters. You are the messenger between what was and what will be. If anyone can hold the grief of goodbye and the hope of hello in the same breath, it's you. So if a part of your work life is ending, whether clearly or quietly, I invite you to honor it. Light a candle for the version of yourself who fought to get there. Journal a farewell letter to the dream that once lit you up. Bless it, release it, and then turn gently toward the horizon. Your new direction may not be revealed all at once, but your willingness to let go is the very act that opens the space for revelation. In moments like this, it's easy to feel unmoored. You may feel like you're floating between identities, neither where you were nor where you're going. This is the sacred in-between. This is where the soil of your next chapter is being tilled. It is not failure. It is fertile ground. And though you may crave a plan, an offer, or a clear signal, what you really need now is presence. Stay with yourself. Stay in integrity. Stay curious. The answers are not far behind. A new rhythm is coming. A clear path is forming. But first, Gemini, allow the old to fall away. Not with bitterness, not with shame, but with grace. Thank your past for what it taught you. Thank your courage for carrying you this far. And then remind yourself, you are not lost. You are being led. Gate 3. The soul connection hidden in your career, when work becomes a mirror of the heart. Gemini, most people think of work as something transactional. Effort in, results out. But you, of all signs, know there's more. You feel it, that faint pulse beneath the daily grind, the unseen current that carries whispers of destiny, intuition, and spiritual alignment. For you, work has never been just about tasks. It's been about meaning, about people, about connection. And now, something profound is stirring beneath the surface, a spiritual thread, weaving its way through your career, leading you straight into the heart of an unexpected connection. Sometimes, the greatest soulmate encounters don't happen in candlelit cafes or serendipitous walks through the park. Sometimes, they happen under fluorescent office lights, in Zoom calls, across meeting room tables. Sometimes, the soul you are meant to remember appears in a coworker's eyes, in the strange sense of déjà vu when you speak, in the way time bends when you're in their presence. It's subtle, it's sacred, and it's starting to happen now. Have you noticed someone who seems to see you in a way others don't? Not because of your resume, your title, or your performance, but because they recognize your energy. It may not be romantic. In fact, it often isn't. Soul connections come in many forms: mentors, collaborators, even rivals. But there is one unmistakable quality. When you're around them, you remember more of who you are. This person may challenge you. They may frustrate you. But above all, they awaken something inside you that was dormant: your creativity, your confidence, your sense of mission. You may feel pulled to them for reasons you can't explain. And Gemini, that's no accident. Let me tell you about Asha, a Gemini who worked in a mid-sized design firm. For years, she floated between projects, brilliant but unanchored. Then she was paired with a new project manager, Liam. From the beginning, their energy was electric, not in a romantic sense, but in a way that made Asha feel alive. Liam didn't just assign tasks. He asked her what she believed in. He listened. He challenged her to think bigger. Within months, Asha wasn't just working. She was creating, reimagining herself. Their collaboration became a portal. Later, she told me, he woke up the version of me I'd stopped believing in. That, Gemini, is the mark of a soul-level connection. You may already sense who this person is in your world, or perhaps they're about to arrive. Either way, the universe is using this connection to mirror something within you: your higher potential, your unspoken dreams, your spiritual growth. The purpose isn't dependency. The purpose is reflection. Because the moment you feel seen in your truth, you begin to remember what you're truly capable of. This connection might feel inconvenient. It might come at a time when you're overwhelmed, doubting yourself, or considering leaving your current role altogether. But that's exactly when divine encounters tend to happen, when you're standing at the crossroads, unsure whether to retreat or leap forward. The right soul appears not to make the decision for you, but to remind you of the part of yourself that already knows. And let's be honest, Gemini, your heart often gets drowned out by your mind. Your brilliance, your wit, your logic, they're dazzling. But underneath it all, you carry a sensitive, spiritual heart that craves resonance. When you meet someone who speaks to that part of you, it's disorienting at first. You question it. You doubt the timing. You wonder if you're making it up. But that confusion? It's just your mind catching up to your soul. This person may not stay in your life forever. That's not the point. Some soul connections are brief, like shooting stars that light up the sky before vanishing into mystery. Others stay for seasons. But no matter their duration, their purpose is the same: to wake you up. In the next few weeks, pay attention to conversations that feel strangely healing, even in mundane moments. Notice who you naturally open up to without trying. Watch for those moments where you're so immersed in creation, collaboration, or deep discussion that you lose track of time. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. And if you feel fear arise, fear of being too much, fear of being misunderstood, fear of the intimacy that comes with being truly seen, breathe through it. You don't have to force anything. You just have to allow. Allow yourself to be moved, to be curious, to be present. You don't have to define what this connection is right away. You don't even have to name it. Just trust that it is showing you something vital, that your work, your path, your very presence matters more than you thought. One of the most sacred things about being Gemini is your ability to bridge worlds between intellect and emotion, logic and intuition, the seen and the unseen. This connection unfolding in your professional life is proof of that gift. It exists to remind you that your career isn't separate from your soul journey. It's an expression of it. So let go of the old story that says, work is work. Feelings have no place here. That narrative was never meant for you. Your path will always be guided by both brilliance and resonance. Your success will always be rooted in truth. And your fulfillment will always be tied to connection, not surface level, but soul deep. If you're already experiencing this connection, cherish it. Nurture it with integrity. Honor its purpose. And if you haven't found it yet, know this: the moment you return to your own truth, the right person will recognize you by your light. Because that's what soul connections do. They don't complete you. They reveal you. Gate 4, becoming the messenger, your role in the bigger shift. Gemini, you've always been more than just a thinker. You are a translator between worlds, a carrier of truth, a messenger of what others sense but cannot speak. And now, something rare is happening. The very environment you've worked within, its structure, its energy, its players, is shifting around you. You're not merely a witness to this movement. You're a key part of it. You may have sensed that change is coming, not just for you, but for your whole workplace. Projects realigning, leadership acting more cautiously or suddenly strategic, conversations becoming more layered, more measured, as if people know something but aren't saying it outright. It's not paranoia. It's not coincidence. It's a recalibration. And you, Gemini, are positioned right in the middle of it on purpose. What you're feeling is not just a personal intuition. It's collective transformation. Something bigger than you is unfolding, and yet, it needs your voice, your eyes, your unique way of making sense out of the swirling chaos. You are being called into a role you may not have applied for, but have been unconsciously preparing for your whole life. You're likely noticing you've become a point of contact, people asking for your take on things more often, seeking your perspective in uncertain moments, maybe even confiding things they wouldn't normally share. This isn't because you're the loudest in the room, it's because you're the most attuned. Your duality allows you to see multiple timelines, multiple outcomes, and intuitively know which bridge leads to the truth. But here's what's crucial now. You must begin to see yourself not as someone watching the change, but as someone shaping it. For too long, Gemini, you've been the behind-the-scenes force, offering insights, catching patterns, lighting the way for others, often without recognition. But this next chapter is asking you to step forward, to own your perspective, to voice your observations not as suggestions, but as guidance. The era of shrinking to protect your safety is over. The universe is preparing a place where your insight has power, if you're willing to stand in it. This might not look like a promotion in the traditional sense. In fact, it may look like an opportunity to lead something completely new, something no one has a map for yet. That's why you were chosen. You're not meant to follow old structures. You're meant to help build new ones. You're the one who sees around corners, the one who translates confusion into clarity. And in this time of reinvention, that is the most valuable role of all. Think about how the great shifts in history happened, not through the loudest voices, but through the clearest ones. Through those who could take a fragmented moment and make it make sense. Through those who dared to say, here's what I see, here's what I feel, and here's what we can become. One of my Gemini clients, Maya, worked in a tech startup on the brink of collapse. While others panicked, she noticed something deeper. What the team needed wasn't another round of funding. It needed vision. It needed heart. Quietly, she proposed a new internal mission, one that focused on human connection, not just data. The founders didn't just listen. They made her the new culture architect. That title hadn't existed before. She created it by being brave enough to speak from alignment. Gemini, your work life is about to offer you a similar choice. Will you quietly observe, or will you choose to embody the role you were destined for? Messenger, guide, visionary? You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust the ones you already carry. That inner knowing, the flashes of insight, the dreams that won't leave you alone. Those are not distractions. They're directions. They are sacred notes being sent to you through the antenna of your intuition. And yes, stepping into this visibility might stir up fear. The fear of being wrong. The fear of being too much. The fear of disrupting harmony. But Gemini, your gift is in your voice. Not just the words you speak, but the energy you carry when you speak them. You were born to express, to transmit, to initiate. When you speak from truth, people listen, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. This is also a moment to evaluate who you're aligning with professionally. Are you surrounded by people who celebrate your clarity, or people who dampen it? Are your talents being stretched or stifled? Are you being prepared for flight, or being kept in a cage that looks like comfort? Gemini, the wheel is turning. The systems you're a part of are not only shifting, they're searching for leaders who can think, feel, and move with grace. This is your frequency. This is your time. Begin by simply saying yes. Yes to the conversations that feel electric. Yes to the leadership opportunity that scares you in all the right ways. Yes to being seen. You don't need to push or prove. You only need to remember who you are and who you've always been beneath the performance, the adaptation, the mask. Because when the veil lifts, and it will, you'll see what this entire period has been preparing you for. Your voice, your vision, your presence. It's not just relevant. It's necessary. Conclusion. You were always the one. Gemini, now that we've walked through the veils together, one truth becomes undeniable. You were never lost in the maze of your professional world. You were navigating it with divine precision. At first, the signs came as whispers. The uneasy feeling during a meeting, the shift in a colleague's tone, the sudden clarity that something no longer fit. Then came the echoes of endings, the quiet goodbyes, the roles dissolving, the dreams being reborn in new forms. You felt it all, not just in your mind, but in your spirit. You walked bravely through the sacred fire of release. You honored what was no longer meant to stay. And just when you questioned your direction, the soul connection appeared, whether as a person, an insight, or a moment of grace, reminding you that you are seen, loved, and chosen. Through it all, something remarkable happened. You began to remember your deeper purpose. Not just what you do, but who you are when you do it. Your work is not separate from your soul. It is the soil where your soul chooses to grow. And now, the call is clear. You are not here to blend in. You are here to build bridges, to carry light, to speak truth that liberates not just yourself, but others too. This is your turning point, Gemini. Not the end. The beginning of conscious, aligned creation. If this message stirred something deep within you, if you felt recognized, confirmed, or quietly strengthened, then I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this sacred space. Not just to follow more content, but to affirm your readiness to walk this new path with clarity and courage. You are the sign. You are the shift. And the secret that once hid in your work has revealed what was hidden in you all along. Welcome forward.